The sky splits open. Not clouds, not smoke. A black wall climbing straight up, 200 miles away. 10 seconds ago, you were walking your dog along the river path, earbuds in, half listening to a podcast about mortgage rates. Now your dog stops, ears up, leash goes tight in your hand. You look up. The column keeps rising. It doesn't stop. 28 miles. That's how high it goes. You don't know the number yet. You just know it's wrong. The horizon turns orange, then a deep, bruised brown. Streetlights on the block snap on. 4:47 p.m. Too early. The city thinks it's dark already. Your phone buzzes. A map loads halfway, then freezes. No bars. You stand there, leash in your hand, dog pulling now, hard, toward home. People stop on the sidewalk, cars slow at the light. A woman across the street points her phone at the sky and just holds it there, not even filming, just holding it. You hear someone say the word volcano. You hear someone laugh like it's a joke. Nobody's laughing in a minute. The wind shifts. It smells like a struck match, faint, then stronger. You think about the podcast still playing in your ear, some man talking about interest rates like they still matter. You pull the earbuds out. Above the rooftops, the black column keeps climbing, wider now, folding into itself like a thunderhead built by something enormous and patient. Below it, the street looks the same as it did 10 minutes ago. Parked cars, lit windows, a bike chained to a rack. But everyone on it has stopped moving the same way at once. You don't run yet. You don't know to run yet. You just stand on the river path, dog straining at the leash, and watch the last ordinary sky you will see for 10 years turn the color of a bruise. 4:49 p.m. The streetlights are still on. It is not night. It will never quite feel like day again. Day 1. You wake at 6 a.m. to a sound that isn't rain. Soft, steady, wrong. You go to the window. The driveway is gray. Not gray like concrete, gray like snow that fell dirty. Ash. Falling in fine flakes, straight down. No wind to carry it. Your car sits at the curb. The windshield wipers are frozen mid-stroke. 2 pale arcs cut into the dust, like someone tried to clear it and gave up. You check your phone. 1 bar. 3 emergency alerts stack on the lock screen. The first says, evacuate within 50 miles of the caldera. The second says, 150. The third just says, shelter in place, avoid unnecessary travel. 3 agencies, 3 maps. None of them agree. You call your parents. It rings 4 times, then nothing. By 9 a.m., the ash is half an inch deep on the driveway. By noon, 2 inches. You measure it against the curb with your dog's water bowl, just to have a number, just to feel like you know something. The radio in your kitchen, battery-powered, bought for a hurricane 3 years ago, repeats the same line every 20 minutes. Ashfall reported across a 500-mile radius. Conditions worsening. More information to follow. There is never more information. You go outside once, just to check the mail, and your lungs burn within a minute. Fine particles, sharp as glass under a microscope. Though you can't see that, you just feel your throat close a little. You tie a t-shirt around your nose and mouth. It's not enough. Nothing you own is enough. At the corner, someone has taped a paper map to the lamppost, hand-drawn, red marker circling a zone that matches none of the 3 broadcasts. You stand there reading it like it's scripture. The air outside is no longer air you can trust. Not today. Maybe not for years. You go back inside. You seal the door with a wet towel, the way you saw in some documentary once, half remembered. Your dog won't stop pacing. Neither will you. 1 week. 6 inches of ash cover the street now. It sits against curbs like dirty snowbanks, piled to the door handles of parked cars. Your dog won't walk in it anymore. You carry her the last block, every time. Day 4. The tap runs gray. Not cloudy, gray, like wet cement. You fill a glass and hold it to the window. Sediment swirls, thick, and doesn't settle. The water treatment plant can't keep up. Filters clog with ash in hours, not days. The city sends a text. Do not drink municipal water until further notice. No further notice comes. You have 11 bottles left. You count them twice. By day 5, a case of water that cost $4.99 last month goes for $100 in the group chat for your building. 20 times the price, maybe more. Someone posts a photo of a pallet at the supermarket on 9th, still shrink-wrapped, and 40 people show up in an hour. You go too. You tell yourself it's for the dog. The parking lot is gray under a sky the color of wet ash. Empty shelves show through the storefront glass behind rows of nothing. A handcart lies tipped on its side, bottles spilled and rolling in the dust. Then it starts. 2 men. 1 case of water between them. Words first, then a shove, then a fist, and the case splits open on the concrete, bottles scattering under 40 pairs of boots. Nobody stops it. You don't either. You stand there, 30 feet away, and do the math instead of helping. 24 bottles, 2 liters each. How many days for 1 dog and 1 person? You walk away with 4 bottles you didn't pay for. You pick them off the ground while the men were still swinging. You don't call it stealing. You call it math. That night you boil ash-gray water anyway, on a camp stove you haven't used since a trip 4 years ago, and pour it through a coffee filter twice. It still tastes like the parking lot smelled. You drink it anyway. 1 month. The grid dies on day 31. Ash chokes the turbine intakes at the regional plant, fine as flour, and the last line trips offline at 2:14 in the afternoon. No warning text this time. No further notice needed. Your building goes dark and stays dark. 3 nights later, your ceiling comes down. 8 inches of wet ash on the roof, then rain, then the weight wins. You hear it groan for a full minute before it lets go. You are already outside when it happens, dog under 1 arm, and you don't go back in. You move into the parking garage on 14th with 11 other people you didn't know a month ago. Level 2. Concrete pillars strung with blue tarps for walls. 1 15-kilowatt diesel generator hums in the corner, feeding 6 bare bulbs and a hot plate on a rotating schedule taped to the wall. 2 hours on, 4 hours off. Nobody argues about it anymore. Through the open ramp you can see the street. Ash piled into dunes taller than a car, and past that, the collapsed roof of what used to be your building. You learn the schedule by the 2nd day. You learn who snores, who steals extra fuel, who cries at 4 a.m. and pretends they didn't. You learn to sleep with your boots on. A woman 2 pillars down teaches you to filter ash water through sand, gravel, and cloth in that order, 3 layers, and you never do it any other way again. You've started carrying a crowbar everywhere. Not for ash, for people. On day 34, the group votes on rationing. 12 votes, 1 generator, 1 bag of rice for 11 mouths. You run the math out loud before anyone asks. 200 grams a day, split 12 ways, 4 more days. Nobody assigned you that job. You just did it. The dog sleeps against your leg now, thinner than she was. You don't remember the last time you called any building home. 6 months. You wake at 5:40 without an alarm. Your body just knows now. 3 rooftop greenhouses stand across 3 connected buildings, joined by a plywood bridge you built in month 4. Purple grow lights hum behind fogged plastic sheeting, glowing against a sky that never turns fully blue anymore, just a dim, permanent orange-brown. You run the dawn shift. 6 people, full-face respirators, shovels, a rotation board nailed to a pipe that reads, "Water rotation," in hand-painted letters, half-flaked now from weather. SO2 sits at 0.3 parts per million most mornings. Low enough to breathe. High enough that everyone's cough sounds the same by now, a dry click before the first word. You clear roof 1 in 19 minutes. Roof 2 takes longer. The drainage is bad. Ash pools into gray paste that freezes overnight. You've stopped noticing the smell of sulfur entirely. That's not relief. That's a nose that quit working 4 months ago and never came back. You catch yourself sniffing spoiled rice out of habit, out of muscle memory, and getting nothing. Nothing at all. You eat it anyway because you can't be sure, and being sure isn't a luxury you have. At 6:15, you climb to Greenhouse 2 and settle the fight that's been simmering since Tuesday. Building C wants 4 more grow light hours for the potato trays. Building A says their tomatoes will bolt without them. You split the difference, 90 minutes each, written in marker on the schedule, And nobody argues with you anymore. They just write it down. You are 31 years old. You have shoveled ash for 180 mornings straight. The dog died in month 5. Lung failure, the same particulates that took your smell. You buried her in a rooftop planter box between the beet rows. No ceremony, no words, because words cost something you don't have anymore. Someone new arrives most weeks now, thin, coughing, asking who's in charge. People point at you. You used to hate that. Now you just hand them a shovel and tell them where the line starts. 1 year. The alarm is a cowbell, not a siren. Someone bought it in month 2 for exactly this. It's 3 a.m. Rain hits the ash-covered hills for the first time in 11 months. 40 millimeters in 90 minutes, straight onto slopes packed with a year of gray ash. You don't know the word lahar yet. You will in 9 minutes. You hear it before you see it, a sound like a train made of wet concrete. Then the flashlight beams catch it. A wall of mud 40 feet wide, moving down the drainage canal at highway speed. It hits the cistern first. 11,000 liters, gone in one surge. The chain link fence around the water yard buckles, and your barrels, your rotation, your rationing, your spreadsheet of who drinks when float past it sideways, bobbing, already lost. You don't freeze. Not anymore. You're already screaming the evacuation order before your own feet move. 60 people. 9 minutes, warning to impact. You count them as they pass you on the stairs, bundles on backs, a kid carried piggyback with a respirator too big for his face. You count them because counting is the only thing keeping your hands from shaking. The storeroom floods before anyone reaches it. Half the settlement's food, 9 months of shoveled, rationed, fought-over food, dissolves into gray sludge in under 10 minutes. You watch a 50-kilo sack of rice go under and not come back up. By dawn, you stand on the hillside looking down at what used to be home. The greenhouses lean sideways, glass cracked, mud to the second rung of the plywood bridge. The rooftop where your dog is buried is underwater now, brown and silent. You don't cry. You did that already, months ago, for smaller things. You make a list instead. 60 people, no cistern, no stored grain. Higher. 2 years. The hillside camp holds 300 people now. Terraced shelters climb the slope in rows, tarps stitched from tent fabric and truck tarpaulin, roofs weighted with stones against the wind. Below them, the greenhouse glows behind a chain-link fence, guarded at dusk by 2 men with spears made from rebar. You sit at a wooden table with a clipboard. This is the job now. Not shoveling ash, not counting barrels, deciding who eats. The ration list gets reviewed every Sunday. You do it at this table, in this chair, with this pencil, because a pencil can be erased and a decision can't. This week, the list has 40 names on it, all of them over 60. All of them reassigned off the greenhouse labor roster, effective immediately. The math is simple, and it is monstrous. Every calorie an elderly worker burns weeding a grow tray is a calorie a child under 12 doesn't get. You know the yield numbers. You know the growth curves for kids that age. You sign the list anyway. A line forms outside the table before noon. You watch faces you know move past you one by one. Some nod, some don't look at you at all. One woman waits until the end of the line. She helped you rebuild the second greenhouse frame after the mudflow. Her hands did that work, cracked and bleeding, for 6 straight weeks. You cut her seat on the grow light rotation without blinking, because her knees can't kneel in the trays anymore, and a 9-year-old's can. She doesn't yell. She just stops speaking to you. Not that day. Every day after. You tell yourself it's fine. It isn't. You eat dinner alone at the table where you used to eat with her. A quote, 5 years. The terrace town holds 900 now. Rows of stacked greenhouses climb the hillside in 6 tiers, glass and salvaged windshields angled to catch what light gets through. Rope bridges link the tiers at each level, swaying under baskets of potatoes and dried fish. Laundry lines cross between mud brick homes, gray shirts snapping in wind that never quite loses its grit. The sky filter still cuts the light by 40%. Nobody calls it a filter anymore. It's just the sky, orange-brown, low, close enough to touch some mornings. You run the grain accounts now, 900 names, ledgers instead of a clipboard, ink instead of pencil. The math got easier as the town got bigger. That's the strange part. More people, less panic. You built systems so the decisions wouldn't sit on one person's shoulders alone anymore. Yours, mostly. But not only yours. A child finds you on the third tier, checking a valve on an irrigation line. She's 4, born 11 months after the ash stopped falling. She has never seen a cloud that wasn't brown. She points up. What color was it? Before. You open your mouth. Blue, you want to say. Simple. One word. It doesn't come out simple. You crouch down next to her, finger tracing the haze above the rope bridges, and you try to describe a blue you haven't seen in 5 years. You reach for it. A beach, a windshield, a shirt someone wore once, and the color slides away from you like water through fingers. Like water, you finally say. Deep water, on a still day. She frowns. She doesn't understand water that color either. Bad comparison. You've never told her about the ocean. That night you lie on your mat and try to remember sunlight on skin. Real heat, not the dull gray warmth through the filter. You can't find it. 5 years erased it clean. You built a town of 900. Terraces, greenhouses, bridges, a school in an old grain silo. You did not build a way to keep the color of the sky in your own head. You fall asleep still trying. 10 years. Dawn comes gray, then less gray. You sit on the low stone wall at the edge of the 7th tier, coffee in a chipped clay cup, an old rope leash coiled beside you like a dead snake. Nobody uses leashes anymore. There's nothing left to walk that isn't already working. Below you, the greenhouse roofs run for a kilometer, glass and salvaged panels catching the first real light in 3,650 days. Someone installed a haze gauge last year. Government relay, solar charged. This morning it reads 5%. Lowest number anyone's ever seen. You don't call anyone. You could. The gauge sits 40 meters away, in the co-op office, and a shout would carry. You just watch instead. The brown thins at the edges first, like a bruise healing backward. Then, for the first time in 10 years, the sky over the terraces turns pale blue. Real blue. The color you tried to describe to a 4-year-old 5 years ago and couldn't find. You find it now, and it does nothing. No tears, no relief. Just a color, sitting where a color should be. Your hands are cracked at the knuckles, permanent now, the skin gone the texture of the greenhouse ropes you splice. 41 years old. You catch your reflection once, in the office window glass, jaw sharper than it should be, gray at the temples that came in around year 6, eyes that don't widen at things anymore. You don't recognize the face right away. Then you do, and that's worse. A woman used to walk a dog on a river path, podcast in her ears, mortgage rates, nowhere to be. You try to remember the dog's name. It takes you a full minute. The sky stays blue for maybe 40 minutes before the haze creeps back in, patient, the way it always does. You finish the coffee. You leave the leash on the wall. Behind you, the greenhouses are already loud with the sounds of 900 people starting a day that doesn't need blue sky to survive it. He pulls his rig into the fluorescent-lit station, diesel fumes mixing with stale coffee, and scrolls through his weather app while the pump churns. The forecast shows clear skies all the way through Nevada. He takes a sip of lukewarm coffee, yawns, and glances at the highway stretching endlessly ahead. Earbuds already in, he half listens to a podcast about interest rates as he walks back to his cab, completely unaware of what the earth beneath him is about to become. The cycle continues.